What am I supposed to do with it?
Just look at it, that's what we're gonna drink.
Okay. What type of tea is it?
I gotta check the bag. It's from the Taiwan tea house, floating leaf.
Okay.
I don't know. Alishan, probably. Alishan. Big one, she's popped. I think it's the electric.
Oh yeah, you're right. Milk, cream.
Whipping cream.
Are you lying inside? It's screamo.
Kind of hot today. Hot in here.
Yeah, I feel it's pretty warmer than usual today inside the house.
Anytime there's bugs on the windowsill, she comes and cleans them up.
There's no food here, Dean.
Pick her up, introduce her to everyone.
Ooh, the puppy. It's Ginkgo. She thinks there must be food on the table. It's not a tea.
I don't think she likes
It's Yagi.
Mr. Miyagi. Game.
Remember, she used to be like the size of this table, and
She would climb on the.
she would climb the table and chew on the cup,
I know.
swipe your
Knock them all
cup.
down. I remember. Game. You want some tea?
Yeah, I mean,
Put it out.
okay. Not lined up yet.
I think the oolong sitting on this pot is not actually hot enough.
Hmm.
The one above it is maybe better. Oh.
What temperature are you using? 180?
Oh yeah. I think 200 better.
Yeah, 180 is for like green tea, green tea.
No, I don't use it 180. Whatever one says oolong.
Oh, okay.
200 maybe. I think 220 is better.
Mm.
The one that says black tea in the middle is probably the best.
Mhm.
You got white stuff on your chin.
I think it's spider webs. Oh, you're sniffing around.
That's fine. That's like ingrown hair.
Hmm?
There's some pouch.
Oh.
You know what tables are, don't you?
Yeah.
Every time we're at any table, she comes begging. Want to try one more time?
Yeah, sure.
The bottom of the pot.
Mm-hmm.
What Chinese stuff did I see recently? I saw something about the Uyghurs.
Really?
Yeah.
What was up with them?
Writing some letter to Trump about please support us and so on.
I don't even know who's the leader of Uyghur. Or,
Big boss Uyghur.
yeah.
He probably looks sweet. Huge beard. Probably that.
So it's just normal people writing Trump?
I don't know. There's a headline.
Okay.
You know how it is. There's politics.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to use the Uyghurs to attack China.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't think that was it though. I think there was something else I saw Chinese that was kind of on a light note. It was something like cool, good.
Okay.
Anyway. This will be darker. What's up?
Yeah.
I don't think that little pouring pot is enough to hold the
whole pod.
I don't have to think, it's empirically true.
Oh my
It's
god, is it half
It's okay, I know, it's obviously not enough to hold the whole pot.
Yeah. We got that and then China at the same time, right?
This is from Japan.
Oh really?
Mm.
Similar color.
Yeah, I know. It's not the same, I'm sure.
Okay.
That goes with the little gyokuro pot, the really little pot that you use, like warm water and you wait forever.
Oh, it's gyokuro.
First time I had gyokuro, it was kind of fun. I never knew about it, I never even knew what it was. You probably didn't until recently, right? Gyokuro, the really vegetable tasting green tea. It tastes like really umami.
Okay, yeah.
And you gotta cook it really slow, brew it really, really slowly, right? So I'm in Taiji at the temple, and we're on the tatami. And this guy came for like his first day, like so many first day people. And he's like got this whole kit of tea stuff, teaware and everything.
Who?
Just some guy.
Just some guy
he was there
come
for like,
in with the whole tea
he
stuff?
came there to stay for 3 years and he was there for like 3 days, maybe. This is not uncommon. And he was in there and he had this whole setup and we were all like, there's no time to explain in Taiji. Every little time is like valuable because if you have free time, you don't want to waste it, kind of, because you don't have very much of it. And so he comes in, he's like, I'll make you guys tea. And we're like, yeah, okay, sure. And just hang out with the new guy.
Start
It'd
pouring
take
out.
forever. Like all the little temperatures and thermometers and all these little things. And we're like,
Is he Japanese?
No, white guy.
Wow.
I think he came to Japan to study that kind of stuff or to
Just
get interested in it.
Okay.
Well, I do remember it was such a small little pot, and he was kind of a bigger guy, and it was kind of cute because he had this little pot in his hand, like total mismatch, like a doll pot.
And that pot's supposed to serve like 3 for people.
And you serve like one at a time or something.
Oh, okay.
Wow, it took forever, and you gotta wait like 4 minutes each brewery.
Well,
4 minutes sounds small, but it's a lot when you're just sitting there watching a pot. It was good, and I drank it and I remember thinking like, wow, it's actually worth the wait. It's like vegetable soup almost, like grass soup. So it tastes like.
Okay, yeah, I remember
The
first time you introduced me to Good Girl. You're like, I found a formula like to brew the perfect Good Girl, and then you tested it out and had it, and this is the first time I actually, wow, okay, that's umami.
That's umami, right?
Yeah.
It takes a while. I don't think we've done it since. It was like probably 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think so, because I think we did it again, and the water is either too hot or too cold.
If it's too hot, then it's super bitter, and it tastes like on the tannin on the back of your tongue is nasty. And if it's not hot enough, and whatever, you just get water, like lukewarm water.
Because the tea flavor itself is so light.
It's so light, but and you have to use a ton of, that was the secret. You have to use a ton of the tea.
Yeah.
And then it brings the flavor out after like 4 minutes or whatever.
The tea shop you like, what's the name?
Ippodo?
Ippodo have the Gyokuro tea bag. It
Different.
doesn't work at all.
It's different.
It doesn't work at all. It's just a little tea flavored water.
I think next time we should try Gyokuro. That's green tea for some reason is so sensitive. If I have just the right amount of food in my stomach, drink green tea, feels great. If too much or too little, feel really ill. Either like real nauseous or like, actually too much I don't think is a thing. If I have too much food, it's just if I don't have enough, then I get really nauseous. And the same with Gyokuro. Something in the green tea is different. Oolong, some food is much more forgiving.
Well, I know there's some specific ingredient in green tea is good for your teeth.
Really? That's probably Chinese.
Because there's a Chinese commercial with toothpaste. For toothpaste, like some ingredient extracted from the green tea. The commercial start with a green leaf.
Yeah. I know, that's not anything. Now we brush our teeth with charcoal. It's hilarious, right?
Hilarious.
You know, in the old Japanese days, the chicks used to put black on their teeth. I can't imagine anyone thinking that's attractive. I wonder where that comes from. Why they would ever think that's attractive. It's like, oh man, that girl's been smoking. Like, she's hot. She has access to mass amounts of tobacco or something.
White face, black teeth.
White face, black teeth.
No
eyebrows. No, they cut their eyebrows off, right?
And then put a dot.
And put them like higher, so that they're always like, like slightly surprised, but little dinglies.
When they smile.
Oh yeah, and all white mouth and then a little strip of red.
Right.
So they had like a real small mouth, and really you have naturally geisha. That's the geisha mouth. Yeah.
I think that's why Japanese like Shiba, black tan Shiba, because they have the dots.
They have the little dots. When we were in Kyoto, it was like, I hear people say, oh geisha, foreigners. And I was always laughing because they're definitely not Japanese, the geishas, they're just Filipino tourists that are walking around.
Yeah,
and the other tourists are like, oh, geisha. And it's like those tourists are the ones that are walking around in.
Yeah, we were in Kyoto. There's so many like the clothes renting shops for girls dressing up. And there's some, I don't know where they come from, but the way they walk is they're not Japanese. Japanese doesn't walk like this.
Walk like they were rap.
The real Japanese probably
with
not
backpack.
going under the suburb and put some.
Oh man, how lucky were we?
Yeah.
When we walked up the first day, wasn't it? We went up to the Kyomizudera temple. It was just all perfect.
Right.
No, the place that has the overlook of the city, and all the cherry trees were blossoming at that moment. You remember that? And we're
Is
like,
that the town or the city?
we were
Kyoto?
walking, we were walking up, and we drank sake on the walk up. It was like the first day, and I was
Oh
like, come on,
yes,
let's go,
yes,
let's go,
yes,
let's go.
yes. I remember that.
It's like, dude, it doesn't get much more perfect timing than this. It's just great.
Was that
Why are
day?
you so lucky?
That day, I think it's so long. Because my memory can maybe like mix things up. I remember we arrived there, we started climbing, and on the way, oh, that sake shop was fun, so we just went in. And I had a
No, I
ice
think it was
cream.
more like me saying, let's go in that sake shop, and you're like, no. I'm like, oh yeah.
I know. And then
It
we
was
got
worth it though, wasn't it?
there,
Whole food.
and then we took a like almost sunset train to the other one with a bunch of red gates. I don't remember the name of that.
We were there like really late.
And we were there really late, and the only thing around is a convenience store. So we went in the convenience store, bought a bunch of
I remember that.
rice ball,
And we
whatever.
were just eating on the street.
We were eating on the street.
I remember that.
And then we started climbing that. I actually surprised how many people were there at
Even that
night.
late? Yeah. Most of them were leaving when we were starting though.
Yeah.
You actually got creeped out on that, remember?
Because when we go down, some guys told us there's some wild pig.
Yeah, that's true. There was even signs like warning wild pigs, and I was like, damn, actually wild pigs are dangerous. It's crazy.
Yeah, and somehow it's like when we go down, we took a different route or something, and suddenly there's no people.
Yeah, I think so.
It's pretty creepy.
Oh, sweet.
And the fox there, the fox statue.
That place is meant to be creepy.
And the place meant to be creepy, I agree.
That's why doing it at night, I was all about it. It's like, we gotta go at night because the whole thing is like, it's like a big creepy graveyard on a hill, or feels like it.
And they have a lighting, shine the red door pretty well, I think. I don't think they have, each individual one has a light, but.
That place is a nightmare in the day. You can't even move.
I
You
can
just
imagine.
walk, it's like a Disneyland line there's no ride. You're just walking in the Disneyland line the whole time. Nightmare.
Well, the longest line I ever had was in 2008 Shanghai World Expo.
I can only imagine.
Oh, I think the longest line I had was in the Japanese, the Japanese building. My dad and I was like waiting, and my dad was such a proud guy that he can't walk that very well, and he refused to take a disability green line. And we should have got a wheelchair for him, then I can just go and directly go through. Instead, we waiting in a line. It's like, oh, it's a long line, let's start waiting. Do, bunch of zigzag, go the other side. Do, bunch of zigzag, go inside. Do, bunch of zigzag. I think the whole time taking like 3 hours. The limit time that I was inside the building, probably 10 minutes.
I get you. It's amazing that people want to do those things. And if you do think back on what you remember though, it's usually a very small fragment of the time frame around that thing that you remember. Like, okay, you travel for hours and hours and hours, you're on planes, you're in hotels, you're whatever, you're walking, you're moving, and then for just 20 minutes or half an hour, you're looking at something that you went across the world to see. And that's what you remember in the end. It's the one little thing that you wanted to see.
I don't remember at all what's
the
in
bad
that building.
stuff is washed away. That's what I was telling you the other night. The majority of my travels were suffering and loneliness in like some strange hotel room, like malnourished.
Throwing up, getting sick.
But that's what I don't remember. Even though time-wise, it's the main thing. I find that peculiar. Why the brain knows what to remember and what not to remember. Or maybe it just doesn't want to remember that stuff. I have a suspicion the body remembers it.
By the smell?
No, those experiences in that time is like built into your body. Like a plant grows moment by moment by moment, each cell. And so your memories in your body are actually happening by the time that you actually spend sitting on a bus or breathing whatever air or doing whatever, walking, right? Your mind remembers the fantastic things or the goals or whatever. Those are kind of insignificant. They're not as transformative. The real transformation happens in your body little by little as you travel from the place to the place. So actually, if you wiped out the memories, you'd still have a transformed body and personality and character.
Okay.
Because of
So
what's happened to you very slowly. We just take those peak experiences out, which are like a dozen, compared to thousands and thousands of moments of, like I said, sitting on buses or waiting in train stations.
Those level you up.
Those are the real organic growth of the life that happens when you travel. I think that, because I would spend a lot of time just sitting up straight, reading a book, breathing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think of it like that, I spent most of my time doing that. That's what I was really doing. I wasn't really going to a pyramid or climbing on a mountain. I was really just sitting up straight and reading books and breathing in train stations. And
I mean, one top.
you can't. When I was there, you couldn't.
Can anybody?
Well, you could. You can do anything as long as you're willing to take a few bullets. No, you're not allowed to.
Oh, okay. Okay.
When I was there, before, not even long before, from what I was told, you could climb all the way to the top, like with rock climbing.
So.
It's a huge staircase.
Yeah, I was wondering how tall.
Tall.
It's
like you would have to like
go.
Me as a 6'2" would have to like put my hands on it and push myself up each time.
That's good exercise.
They're huge
Yeah.
blocks. I mean, that's one of the reasons that the people that study it are like so amazed. What, how the hell they build this giant stone pyramid with stones that come from way the hell on the other side of the country.
Where does stone exactly come from?
Somewhere else. I think from a town called Aswan, which is on like the other edge of the country.
Yeah.
But I think it's at the bottom of the river, so they probably just floated them up the river.
That makes sense.
The Nile flows from south to north.
Really?
Yeah, well, the lake in Uganda, one of the countries south of Egypt, has a huge lake. And I think that's Rainfall Lake, and maybe snow, I don't know that much about it, I've never been there. But that's the lake where the Nile starts.
Okay.
And then it goes down through Ethiopia and flows north,
Okay.
and then it comes in through the south of through Sudan, and it comes through the south of Egypt and flows up, because the Nile delta pours into the Mediterranean, and that's where all of the main civilization was, where the river splits out and basically waters the desert, you know.
Okay.
The fast flowing river like the Colorado just carves a deep canyon. It doesn't really water anything. It just tears up the sand and just flows. But at the end of the Nile, and even further south, because I went down the Nile, it's just desert, because the water's moving. It doesn't really give much time to stop. It's mostly desert, and then there's some like jungle bushes and stuff on the sides of the river. But when you get to the end, it slows down, because all the sand and stuff that the river carries, they call it silt, gets spilled out, and it slows the river down, and it spreads out, and it creates like marshlands and wetlands, and floods out. And that's where they grow all the food. They had abundance of food, and they controlled the flooding and waited for the flooding of the Nile and so on. I don't know if they controlled it. That's out of turn. I don't know that. But the flooding of the Nile was definitely part of why they were able to grow a lot of grain and survive a big civilization. So, yes, I was at the pyramids, but I couldn't climb them. When I was out in the desert there, I had to hire an armed guard. This was post 9/11 times.
I forgot when exactly, but there was a time that Egypt has a revolution.
I was there before the revolution, but after the revolution, yeah.
So what exactly happened in the revolution? So how anybody actually take you over?
I don't know. I know that they had the guy Mubarak that they didn't like. Because when I was there, there were armed guards like everywhere. They wore all white outfits and they have a big machine gun everywhere. It's kind of awkward. Like, what are these people? Peacekeepers? It's kind of like soldier / peacekeeper / the king's men, you know? And go.
Ooh, what do you want? There's no food.
Yeah. Anyway, when all those dictators started to fall, there were new people that were interested in running the government, political parties they were involved with, you know. That's a multi book project to start to read to understand what the hell happened in the Arab Spring. And I don't know. The Arab Spring is the spring where a lot of those Arab countries started to revolt and throw over their leaders. And there's a movie about it called The Square. No, The Square was the Swedish one.
Yeah.
No, there was one called, it might even be called The Square, I can't remember. But it was about the square, the center of Cairo, where all the different political people would come and they would protest and all of that kind of stuff. I watched it a little over a year after they produced it. Gave me just a very surface understanding of it. Basically, there's all different people with different ideas of how the country should be led. Like, should we be really strictly Muslim, or should we be aligned in this way or that way, or what kind of government should we have, right? And no matter which party it was, there were other people who would kind of infest it and take it over, like paramilitary or paramilitary, like soldier style guys trying to take the shit over. So there's a conflict between all the people who were fighting for power, and then there was these kind of smaller groups that were just trying to overtake the movements, the natural movements. Basically, the people are just sick and tired of being broke, while the government's screwing them over. That's the whole story of every country that has a war.
Exactly.
But who is the wolf to manipulate all those people and get at the leadership helm of it is the question, you know. And that's what it looked like. I don't know. It's a very vague story from mine, but
I didn't know really much about it. The only thing I know is that I had a friend that was really looking forward to a trip to Egypt and it canceled.
WPP. Do you know white people problems?
Well, for her, it's Asian people problems.
I know. That's how you guys have it too.
Yeah.
Damn revolution. I had a vacation plan.
I think I just graduated high school at that point. Yeah. Or I was in college, I don't remember. I didn't really care about too much about what's going on in the world. Not even in China, not around the world.
It's a good tea.
It's good tea, yeah.
I guess the opening pour, it just takes time. We know that, it just takes time.
Yeah, we don't take a long time to open that.
Yeah. Now, once it opens, it's cooking. It's a good one. I miss Shuwen. She was a nice lady. Only met her there twice, but.
Hope her shop's okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, even when I met her before the pandemic, like years before the pandemic, a couple of years before, she had already closed down the tea shop, like in-service tea. It was all internet sales and shipping. Important shipping to restaurants and shipping to individual homes. It was all internet. She still had the shop, but I don't think it had anything to do. It wasn't
what
like
her shop looks like a
shop.
Small.
It was a little coffee shop, like place. There was a tea place, and then she moved next door, which is very small. Little. It was really a lot more like a real Chinese tea shop that you see, where it's just on the street. You walk in and all they have is teas everywhere, and the tea lady behind the counter has a tea table and she'll test them out with you. Which is what it was exactly. And
I'm not sure I ever go to a Chinese tea shop.
I went Taiwan. I guess we never did. In Taiwan, there's a lot, and I went to multiple.
Gotcha.
And that's what it's like. You go in, there's some tea wares, and mostly just all their teas are in racks behind from just a lot of the same tea, just multiple 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 teas, and then pick them out. You know, you grab a bag and you go. But she'll test the teas with you, or he, and you can drink the teas.
Does she have any other stuff?
Yeah, this guy named Noah, who's cool. Probably still is cool. I think he'd been with her for a while, but just like, you know, a guy who likes tea a lot. And bagging the teas and sending them out. They're cool because when you buy tea from them, you'd get a little handwritten note.
I know.
Like, hey, check this one out.
And she will send you a little bag of samples.
A nice little sample,
yeah.
If she got me multiple times. She always was pushing the dong ding dong ding dong ding.
Ding dong.
Not ding dong dong ding.
Ding dong.
Ding dong. And I was like, I'm not interested. I want just green oolong. So finally she sends the free dong ding. I'm like, all right, damn it, you got me. And I bought way too much dongding that year.
This is charcoal dongding.
Charcoal dongding.
Really good.
It was good. I liked it until that one Chinese doctor guy came to our house.
I remember
He's like,
that.
I don't like this one. And then all of a sudden, that's how insecure I am in my tea choices. I was like, oh, this must be a bad tea.
Yeah, he just know a lot about the tea. I remember he was like laying out the tea leaves and explain to us, like, forgot exactly, like, it's not 2 leaves or 3 leaves, so it's not good quality or something.
I remember that. 3 is what you want. And the tip of the leaf should have, should be intact. Because if it's missing the tip, basically he's saying that tip is somewhere else in the good tea.
Good tea, that's right. Yeah, the tea season, you only pick the top part.
They pick the top 3. Oops. So those are a bit ragged.
I don't know about oolong. It's huge. It's never gonna be 3 leaves.
Yeah, I do see some. We'll get the one where it has the stem still, and it does have 3 leaves.
It does.
This one, no,
Oh,
but
okay.
I do have some.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's like with wine. It's like with anything. Do you enjoy it? Yes. Okay. There you go. Right. Could you enjoy it more? Potentially, but in order to, you need to have some sensitivity.
Yeah.
How are you gonna grow that even? What? Man, we used to have so many different types of teas and try all the different ones. It's kind of an overload. It was fun. That was my obsession for a while.
Remember the first? No, it's not first, but we went to Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
There's a tea shop.
I remember.
That will give you a tea table and everything. You choose the tea for yourself.
Yeah, it seemed like a great idea until we went there. I'm like, not interested in.
Well, that was our first trip, so I was like in a dream anyway.
Oh, you were dreaming? That's funny because we had even talked about let's open a tea shop, and then when I went to a tea shop in the U.S., I was like, oh no way in hell would I ever want to do this.
Yeah, I know.
Explaining what to do to people is the weird part. It should be something that if they know how to do it, it's fun.
All the tea bags, always some extra stuff.
We went to a tea house in China with your friends, didn't we? Must have been my other Chinese wife.
Or you transport from another university.
I thought we did.
Tea shop.
I thought we met your friends in like a university town near Hangzhou.
Oh, that's right.
And I thought so.
That's right, yes. It's by Zhejiang University.
By Zhejiang.
Yeah, we just took a really good hike from one end to the other end. The mountain behind the Zhejiang
Oh
University.
yeah, that was cool.
Uh-huh.
That was cool. That was a pretty area.
It was a pretty area, that's
I
right.
thought that was a cool place to live. That place reminded me of Japan actually, like around Zhejiang University.
Yeah,
Gave me the feeling like.
that little town.
That was
I
strip
mean,
town.
it was a town until Hangzhou grew bigger and bigger and bigger, just like Briarpool. Yeah, and you know, when a student is always business, restaurant especially, and I think they just do some overhaul of the area because I saw some sign about here's the map, here's what each shop are and restaurant. It's kind of like a shopping district.
Modern shopping district.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, that's what we didn't do today. We were talking about taking a walk. We talked about a lot. Hey, even if we didn't do a lot this weekend, we talked about doing a lot. We talked about kayaking, we talked about fire pit. Oh, there's a little bunny out the window. Right in the grass. It's a really cute one.
Where?
You have to look from where I'm at. Put your eye.
I see it.
Yeah,
Oh, cutie.
I know. They are cute. I'm happy that they like our house.
Yeah.
Makes me feel really like, I don't know, not whole, but something closer to content that there's doves around. We have doves at our house. There's little bunnies around. You know, it's just nice. Birds singing.
Yep.
Then we're in some little paradise.
Dove is a really interesting one.
No gunshots. No sirens.
Well, we hear siren a lot actually.
Oh yeah. Sometimes when we lived on 86, when we lived on
96?
Range Line off of Westfield,
Yeah.
I heard sirens a lot more.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because the Clay Center Road, which is not a popular road, that would take that.
Living on it's not a dead end road,
Uh-huh.
but it's like a segment road, I guess is the way to describe it. There's probably a technical term for it, or it doesn't. There's like a main road and a main road, but it just goes between the one main road and another, and then it stops
Yeah.
at T junctions and T junctions. It's my favorite. I never knew that such a road even existed. Because if it keeps going on, people will use it as a route. There's only one reason to go on this road. It's just to get to the houses on this road.
It's also one of the only road in Congo that doesn't have sidewalks.
Now everybody knows where we live. If they're smart, they can figure it out.
Oh, how we moved in the pandemic?
It'll be good on episode 1000 when we're like crazy famous and people are gonna go back to episode 1 and hunt us down.
By that time, we probably moved already.
You know where?
Don't know.
I'm not even thinking about moving. Not even thinking about it. Hasn't really even popped into my head. We used to think about it all the time. It was my torturing thought.
Try a red tea with our stream.
Red tea makes me want to start projects.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this, let's do that.
Red tea. I still call it red tea. I just can't believe I can't switch it to a brown tea.
That's one of the few things.
Oh, black tea, not brown tea.
That's one of the few things where I'm actually able to switch, because I used to call it black tea and think of it like black tea.
Yeah.
But it makes so much more sense to call it red tea. And it just feels more like red, tastes more like red tea in my head. It looks like red tea. It's red tea, right? And it's native, it's red tea. So I've actually been able to transition and naturally call it red tea and feel like it's red tea too.
Okay, that explains why I can't switch the other way.
You can't switch the other way because it naturally makes more sense for it to be red. Normally, it's hard to switch because your patterns are your patterns. I should just keep calling it black tea, and then, you know, the one that still feels like black tea is the Kimun, the real small grain red tea, but it makes such a dark brown liquor.
No, pour?
No, not pour. It's the stuff we used to drink out of that white and blue china pot at the apartment in Hangzhou in the morning. It was like perfect for breakfast tea.
I still call it red tea.
It is red tea.
Yeah.
But that one is the one that is closest to black tea in my head. If there's anything that's black tea, it's that, because it's that fine grain. It almost dissolves into the water. It's different. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
We actually had two that we switched between.
I think that the little grain is because the teapot itself has filter, but the hole is like a little bit bigger, so those little green will fall through the cup. But most of the leaves are still in the pot.
And there was something else I wanted to talk to you about. It wasn't fat Russian Leonardo DiCaprio. It wasn't. It was something else. It was like lighthearted about China. Like happy. It's definitely not this, but this is what I saw this too. That the Chinese have like a long-range missile system. This is definitely not the lighthearted, happy feeling. That they have like a long-range missile system that can hit a bunch of U.S. military stuff, including Guam, which I think the U.S. has had control of Guam since World War II. And they just withdrew military forces from Guam.
They did?
That's the process of it, yeah.
Okay.
Because I guess the way that it works is they always cycle stuff in and out. They put it in, they test it, they keep it active, they keep people active, right? And it doesn't just sit there. And they stopped cycling stuff in because within the danger. There's no reason to, because they can be destroyed
Mm-hmm.
if there's ever a conflict. So there's no reason to keep holdings there. But the U.S. is doing some creepy stuff. What was it? First of all, they're making a new bomber. This is all in the same article, like the combat of technologies.
Okay.
What they do is they train to fight potential wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they know now, okay, the Chinese have all these long-range missiles that can do all this stuff. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, what can we do? Well, we can't do this. If we do it, simulate, and we get destroyed, or we lose all our ships because they have these long-range missiles. So they move those ships, but they're working on a bomber that's supposed to be able to go all over China without being seen, flying all over, spying all over.
It has invisible camouflage.
We developed one of those during the first Iraq War, or sometime around then, after the Clinton, maybe the end of the Clinton presidency, the stealth fighter, stealth bomber. And those are old now, you know, and they're working on the next generation of them. That's supposed to be able to fly pretty much anywhere without being seen.
Okay.
And the second one that I think that they have already is a ship sinking bomb. Yeah, that's what it was. It was a bomb that they can drop from any airplane, old or new, it doesn't matter, and it hits the water and then it sinks ships. They've had those for a long time, but I guess they have really good ones now.
Okay.
Really, really good ship sinking ones, because China has the biggest navy in the world, I want to say, right now. Ship number.
Okay. Number of the
Like they have tons.
military ships.
Yeah. They have
Okay.
a big, if it's not the biggest, which I mean, I'm no expert. I remember being shocked, like it's big, it's a lot of ships. And so therefore, one thing that the US needs to have is ship sinking torpedoes. So they have all these ship sinking torpedoes now that they drop from like old planes. Jesus
So
Christ.
why not just launch on the like submarine or
And then they
ships?
say that the Japanese and the Americans also have these ship sinking submarine. But it's scary that this article exists, that they're comparing all these strengths and weaknesses, like military strengths, and I don't even want to think about that, man. It's wild. Or there were some other ones that they were talking about. Long range guided missiles that they can just fire.
So is the article
From
kind of like a
anywhere.
fantasy video game that is thinking if China do this, the US can do that? And
No, it was about particularly the withdrawal from Guam. Those articles exist. The YouTube videos exist that are pretty cool if you're into that sort of thing, like war games or simulations or whatever. But this was particularly about like they're moving stuff out of Guam, and this is why China has these long range missiles, and this is what the US is doing, and this is what they're gonna do to try to counter the threat. It's just that's definitely not the happy news of
the
stuff.
light hard things.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't think it'll happen. I really don't.
I don't know.
First, Chinese is too smart to go to war. What's no value in war?
It's trade war right now.
Yeah, I guess I mean heated war. But if the U.S. thinks the Chinese aren't willing to go to war, then they'll just keep pushing them around. They're not willing to fight. But if the U.S. is willing to fight, then they'll just keep pushing them around, chopping on their land, trying to sweep their stuff.
I mean, what's the point of actual war right now?
I don't know. Power.
And all the wars, just because of all the technology and equipment we have, it destroys so much land and lives immediately.
It's fucking sad, isn't it? That's why I'm really about these two veterans for the presidency, Crenshaw and Gabbard, because only people who've seen war can stop it. This is a sad paradox. If they haven't seen it, which is probably why there's cycles of wars. You can go through a peace period, and the people who fought the war are finally fading out, or they have some glory day
And then that's
memories.
like, yeah, let's go to war.
Yeah, because they don't remember what it's about.
Yeah, they
And then-
never lost families and see the horrible scenes.
The psychological destruction and the hell that it creates.
But however, there's so many war movies right now.
Yeah, I know. Because America needs to keep it glorified so that we can keep supporting, so the public will keep supporting it.
But the war movie also shows so many horrible things.
They do, but then they try to trick you. They trick you in that they show the horrible stuff, but then they show the valor and the heroism and
that's true. The
the greatness that comes out of the hell and stuff like. Try to show. What if there's none of that? What if it's just wink, wink? What if it's just hell, and there's no valor, there's no heroism, there's no goodness. It's just all bad people doing bad shit. What if that's what it is? Hint, hint. It's probably what it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I'm sure there's some heroes who are smart. Like even
the good
just
heroes
to say,
take their medals and throw them away because they realize those medals aren't what they represent.
Yeah, exactly. Even just like save one of your friend in the same troop, they are heroes. But that doesn't happen that much. Most likely you're gonna if you got bombed.
They do, and I think that's that is heroism. I'm not taking it away from them if they risk their life to save someone else. But it's in the context of being somewhere to kill people. Like you go into a place where you're there to fight and kill, and you save someone's life from being killed. Did you put yourself in this situation, fighting and killing? I don't know. I don't take anything away from people who do valiant things. I just find it kind of strange that we're a volunteer army or volunteer militaries. It's not like we're forced to go there. Everybody goes there, chooses to go there. Whether or not they know what they're doing when they sign up, or whether or not they have any options, because the way the economic system's set up, where the majority of these people who join up to join the ground force military just got no other options. Like my guy Nate from some little town in the middle of cornfields. And parents don't have much money, live in a trailer, and want to be something with his life.
Get out, one way to get out.
Don't have money for college. He watches his other friends go to college and go broke because there's no school funds available.
I think you join the military, you go into some hardworking training for a few years, and they will sponsor you to get an education.
Yeah, for sure.
For 4 years.
But do people do it? I mean, Neil went in the Navy for 5 years. And he sailed all over on an aircraft carrier, and he was supposed to pay for his university, pay for his school, right? Which it would, I'm sure. He just never went to school. He came work for us for 3 years, 4 years.
I guess he just don't really want to go to school. How's Neil doing?
I don't know. I wrote him when there was that little uptick of talking to people you haven't talked to in a while, like after the pandemic started and everybody was kind of reaching out. I wrote him that. I was like, how you doing? Everything's like pretty much the same as I always am. Just sitting at home playing on the computer.
That's true.
But he got a job, remember? As something with
security,
computer, cybersecurity.
Yeah.
That's cool. I was happy for him. That was always a paradox because he was always like, man, I'm thinking about quitting. And I was like, oh, good. Like, you've done this long enough, man. Go do what you want to do. He just couldn't find any jobs. He was smart. He couldn't, first round around, he couldn't get any interviews. So then he lied on his resume. And you gotta listen to the end of it, because it's not right to lie on your resume to try to get a job. But he wasn't intending to go to the interviews. He just wanted to see what it took to get an interview. Yeah. So then he could actually become the resume that got the interviews. I was like, that's a really smart way of looking at it. So he stepped it up little by little until he hit a point where he's like, oh, I'm getting tons of interviews. I remember him saying, like, I'm getting tons of interviews. Unfortunately, my resume is not true. And I'm like, what?
So
and he's like, so now I know though what my goals are, so I can make that. I'm like, that's smart. See what you need to do first before you waste your time doing it. And then he did, and he set himself up and got those whatever tickets or certifications. I think it was just technical certifications in particular realms that was needed. And once he broke a few of those, it was like, yeah, we need that. Great, now I know what I need to do. Get my interviews, get a job. Smart. Word to the wise.
Yeah.
Set yourself up. Pretend like you're the person you want to be. See if that works. If it doesn't work, what if you put all that stuff on the resume that would be hard to get and still no interviews? Don't waste your time doing it.
Exactly. Probably thinking about something else.
Yeah. You should try that. PhD from Harvard and all this kind of stuff. And just see, what if you get tons of interview requests?
You probably would.
You probably would. But I'm not going to be a PhD from Harvard.
Yeah.
Not because I don't want to, because I don't
think I can get admitted.
Yeah. take to get a PhD from a school like that?
First of all,
Momentum.
PhD is a little different than master or undergrad.
True.
You need to find somebody who has a research topic that you are interested in, and you can prove the professor that you're worth them to paying for your tuition.
I heard a good rule from one of our advisors when we were in the pre-graduate studies program at IU. He's like, my rule number one, I remember this, it was kind of like the guy who said never talk to the police. Rule number one, rule number two, rule number three, never talk to the police, never talk to the police. He's like, my rule number one is never contact a professor without having read their most 2 recent publications. Rule number 2, never contact a professor without having read their most 2 recent publications. It's like anybody can guess what rule number 3 is. Like,
refer to the first 2.
really drove it home. Like if you're not understanding what they're doing with their position, with their mind, and you're not interested in that, and you don't have something to talk to them about on that respect,
why do they
it doesn't matter if you like them, it doesn't matter where they're at school, it doesn't matter any of that other stuff. You should consider yourself trying to get on board with what they're writing, what they're doing, because it's more like that, more like a job. And that changed my perspective of the whole thing. You might think that a person's cool or that their book is interesting, but if it's not what they're doing most recently,
oh yeah, that's true. They might change the topic.
They change their topic, and you need to be on board with what they're doing, right?
It makes sense.
And if it's an article or a book, that doesn't matter, because an article can turn into a book, or it can turn. It doesn't even matter if they're ever going to write books, depending on your specialization. But that's where their mind is. That's where the things are heading. So you need to be on board with their trajectory, and especially if you're asking them to become your advisor. Right? I was like, that guy was keyed in, Good advice. Didn't follow it.
You didn't follow?
No. I read Lisa's stuff.
Yeah.
Everything she puts out that I know about, I read. Sometimes I read her drafts if we're chatting, and before she's put it out, sometimes she'll send me a draft. It's great. I love it. I love that connection that I get to see into the mind of, someone I looked up to for a while. I actually think the direction of what she's doing most recently is going more towards what I like, rather than when she was really my teacher.
Okay.
It's much more towards environmental ethics and how to change our mind, change our being, so that we do care. It has to happen naturally. If you don't feel it, if you don't really care, it doesn't matter. You can't fake caring. All the numbers, graphs, charts about the environment crashing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you can know it all, right? You can learn it all, know it all, think it all, but unless you really feel that all in your daily life, the decisions won't come naturally. You won't transform into someone who's a vessel of the change that needs to happen, right? Small scale. And I thought that was a pretty keen change.
Did she start a moving process yet?
I don't think so. I don't think because of all this crazy stuff that things are running smoothly as she hoped. But I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder how the school is doing right now.
Oh my God.
I mean, we heard that Notre Dame opened up in a week and things start closed down.
So last thing I saw was that the IU fraternities are a cesspool, of course, of COVID. It's a massive amount, whatever it was. 40 to 60%, I can't remember. Whatever.
Do they test everybody?
I don't know, dude, whatever. A lot. Let's just say a lot. And then it makes sense that it's a lot as well. Because what do you do in a fraternity or sorority? You exchange fluids with each other. That's all you do. Whether it's all guys together or all girls, you're drinking together, you're talking close together, you're even studying, sleeping, eating, cooking, cleaning, all the things together.
Share a solar surface.
And then you go out into the world. Like that's your hive, and you go out into the world and you do that same thing in other fraternities and sororities and everything. Oh, it's a very deep physical network of human interaction because you're young. That's what's happening, right? And your mind is not worried because the information, unfortunately, is like young people are fine. Who cares? Only if you're old, you're gonna get painful. So they don't care. Well, they don't care anyway because they're at that point in their life where they're like. I'm not gonna let some little pandemic stop my experience of having a good time. Yeah. Which, of course, that's what they think. It's not. They can be looked at like responsible agents if we want to say it's their fault for doing all this stuff. Like, okay, fine, but it's also our fault as adults for not realizing that they're college kids. Of course they're gonna think that way, right? Of course they're gonna think that way.
Yeah.
It's that story of the scorpion and the bullfrog. Do you know that one?
No.
It's probably a Chinese story.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. So the scorpion is on the side of the river, right? And he says to the frog, I gotta get over there, it's starting to flood, right? So can I ride on your back? And the frog's like, no, wait, dude, you're a scorpion, like, you're gonna sting me, right? You're gonna kill me. He's like, why would I do that? It makes no sense. I'm telling you, I need to be saved from drowning. I can't swim, it's gonna kill me. I need you to float me from here across the river so I can get to where it's safer. And if I sting you, I'm just gonna drown and die anyways. Why would I even ask you?
Well, you're just gonna sting me after you get over there.
Makes zero sense. It's like, okay, I'll tell you what, when you get across, as soon as I get, I'll just jump away, whatever. I'm not gonna sting you, dude. Don't. So Bullfrog says like, all right, I mean, I get it. And don't sting me in the future either. Like, okay, fine, deal, whatever. So he goes to give this scorpion a ride. The scorpion gets on his back and he swims halfway across the river. And right when he's at the deepest part of the river, the scorpion stings him in the head and kills him. And he's going down. He's like, "What the hell, dude?" He's like, "It's just my nature. I can't help it." You know, I can't help it. Of course, I'm gonna sting you. You knew it. I mean, even I didn't know it, but you knew it because I'm a scorpion. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sting you in the head. And so that's the story of the scorpion and the frog. Like, even if it doesn't make any sense, even if it's self-destructive, even if you yourself think, I won't do it.
Can't help it.
It's my nature.
Yeah.
You'll destroy yourself in the middle of the river. And that's what I'm saying about this whole college kid thing. It's like, we're the bullfrogs. We're like, all right, promise you won't throw a party? Like, of course we won't. COVID-19, right? As soon as you leave, we party. Scorpions.
Yeah. I found it interesting that the American college culture and Chinese culture is so different. I never had a party in the college. I mean, never had a party similar as the US that has a DJ that plays music and drinking. The party we have more like eating together and drinking.
Yeah, Chinese and Asian in general are much more innocent.
Yeah.
In their college years. I think so. I mean, I was a college teacher.
That's true.
And I never felt like it. When I first started that job,
you were just after college yourself too. You're not that
I was
old.
like 2-3 years out of college, and I'm teaching at college, and I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be weird. Nope. It felt like I was in middle school, or like I was a high school teacher at most. Right? More like middle school, because they were actually kind of excited.
Yeah.
You know, high school is kind of.
No, in my high school.
Wow, that was just very different. And as I got to know the students, like, they live with their family.
Oh, really?
They eat dinner at home most of the time. They get an allowance, or like they get some money from their parents, right? And they get to go out with their friends and eat sometimes. And they usually have like a hobby. It just felt so much more controlled, like self-controlled. There's just a different vibe to it, you know. Now, anybody who would just go out and party and drink and smoke would be like, loser. Whereas in the US, those are the people everybody's like, oh, he's cool. In Japan, a guy who's out drinking and smoking all the time, they're like, oh, Jesus, what, does he not have a family or something? Like, what the hell's wrong with that guy?
Yeah. Yeah, the video we watched yesterday about that crime investigation.
The true crime.
True crime, and that guy said, the narrator says, this guy is popular and among the opposite sex, and we saw a picture. Every single picture he's drinking.
Drinking, shirtless.
Partying. Yeah.
I don't know what's worse. The fact that, I don't know, I just don't know. The fact that girls think he's attractive, or, I mean, what am I comparing it to?
Yeah.
Why? It's bad, but that's what's attractive. So I guess what I'm getting at is, are they smart girls that think that he's attractive and that's a sad thing? Or is that many people are so dumb that
many people
that many people are so dumb that some basically washed up kind of loser who just gets drunk all the time and unhealthy environment and whatever, getting all these girls, and then ends up murdering one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Because she was saying to other people that, hey, I was hanging out with the cool guy.
Yeah.
Although I shouldn't tell anybody because he was my manager.
His story was what, like, I went to stop her from hitting me, and I accidentally broke her neck.
She was like 90 pounds and he's 160.
He was telling everybody that she was doing heroin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How would you get out of a murder, though? Wow.
You don't.
Oh, you don't. Seems like you don't.
Yeah.
Crazy. Just imagine for a moment, though, that you accidentally killed someone because of a fight.
Right. I mean, I am sure that happens in any country.
The first key to not accidentally killing someone in a fight is
don't get in a fight.
is thinking about what you would do if you accidentally killed someone in a fight and you realize it's pretty damn hopeless.
And then
just
walk
don't
away.
fight. Yeah, just don't get in fights, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Like, I learned a lot about watching these where somebody gets into conflict and they shoot somebody. I'm like, dude, they're almost always in the wrong when they shoot somebody. Almost always. It's so clear that you're innocent when you shoot somebody in those situations. Well, in those very few situations where you're like being attacked, or someone's in your home, or they have a weapon themselves, and you don't even have to think about. Clearly, those are the situations. The ambiguous situations about whether or not you should use your weapon are not ambiguous, because if it's ambiguous, the answer is no, right? If you don't know right away that you should shoot them, the answer is no. You shouldn't shoot them. Right? Shoot them. Drawing the weapon is still in the ambiguous stage, and if you have to take it to that stage, that's a scary move.
Yeah.
But if you are like that, still threatened, and you feel like the threat's not going away, that you have to draw the weapon, you're still not committed to shooting them, right?
But that might anger the other one.
It might anger the other one.
Yeah.
But as long as you're not saying things to make it worse, and only saying things to make it, to try to say, make this over, make this over, and we're done here, then it seems like you're okay. Even if you get in trouble for that, it'll probably be a little bit more like, we get where you're coming from, and nobody got hurt, so thank God. You shouldn't pull your gun on people. You might even get punished. But with a lawyer, you probably get out of that, right? And to a degree, it was like, all right, he threatened to punch you, and you pulled your gun on him, like, weird, right?
Yeah.
But nobody got hurt, so you might get assault or something. You might get, aggravated drawing your weapon. But if you were telling him, I pulled my weapon and I was like, stop, I don't want to fight you, leave me alone.
So let's say if you carry a gun, you have the license to carry a gun.
Yeah.
You draw the weapon to somebody.
Yeah.
As a self-defense.
The last part is,
okay.
How can you prove if it's self-defense?
Let's say maybe it's not self-defense. Can they charge you? I mean, you have the license for it.
Yep.
So even you have the gun, you have the license to carry the gun, you can't just draw a weapon to anybody.
No, it's threatening them. So let's get in the situation, right? Parallel situation that you have the weapon, somebody else doesn't have a weapon. You get no conflict. Let's say it's over something like you bump their car in the parking lot or something like that. So there's a reason for a conflict. They're having a bad day. You are who you are, right? And they're gonna react like, oh man, fuck you, whatever. We're gonna get in a fight. We're gonna beat your ass, right? Now you got split, right? You can pull your weapon on them if they're coming to fight you, right? Or you can just not pull your weapon, right? Let's say you not pull your weapon and they come to attack you and beat you up. This can be very serious. Like getting attacked and beat up is like serious potential for permanent injury.
Yeah.
So let's say that you don't draw your weapon and they don't beat you up. You all just get in a fight and it ends. Probably the best case scenario. But you don't know if that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So you don't draw your weapon, they beat the hell out of you. Very bad. You lose X, red X. Counterfactual game. So let's go through all the potentials.
Yeah.
Next one, they're threatening you, they're gonna beat your ass. You think through, one of these things could be really bad. So you draw your weapon, you decide, I don't want to fight at all costs. So you draw your weapon. Now, you have another split option. Do you take the aggression and say, fuck you, get out of here? Or like, you wanna be tough with me? You're gonna beat me up, I'll shoot your ass. Or do you say, I don't want anything to do with you, man. I'm only trying to protect myself. Just please stand back. There won't be any trouble. Back, away, done. It's a very different approach to using your weapon to get out of the situation. As you draw it, you back away, you get away. Or as you draw it, you move closer. Those are two different things as well.
Or if the other one, you think you're tough, huh? Draw their weapon.
True, you have to.
Okay.
And then you're in a fucked position because you're the first one to draw your weapon.
Oh, it's true.
You drew your weapon, you created a situation where they are drawing a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, you genuinely are in a threat,
Mm-hmm.
so you shoot them. And they'll be like, in the court, they'll probably be like, why the hell did you draw your gun? Well, I felt physically threatened. I wanted to end it. Now it comes back to how were you acting when you drew your weapon?
Well, how do you prove you did that act?
Well, if there's no witnesses or anything like that,
Yeah. You wash against
we'll look at the situation. Did they actually have a weapon? Was it out? Is it truthful that they had a weapon out? You're probably gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Even at that point, you can bend it a little bit and be like, dude, they drew their weapon.
Mm.
No, they're too good. They'll be like, can you do it faster? Like, show us how you draw it. And you draw it, like, no way. Like, like you're not that.
Emotional weapon go back upstairs.
No, wait, I know what to do at that point.
Mm.
Sorry, officer. Oh, never talk to the police.
Yeah.
No, it's a situation where you don't know how bad things can go. But if it needs to be used, I think it has to be like, the person that you're gonna shoot needs to make it so clear that you're not given any other option. You can't escape, you can't get away, you can't back up, you can't run. And they're willing to pursue you or create more problems for you. If they're putting themselves in that situation because they're drunk or they're aggravated or they're bluffing, they think you're bluffing, and you shoot them, it's hard to say that you're not justified. Why would they be coming at you? They're definitely not gonna be good. Like I said, even if they're unarmed and you draw a weapon on them and they come to attack you, they could take your gun, and then you're really and then they're enraged that you had a gun on them, and then shoot you or whatever. So at this moment the gun comes out, there's a gun in the situation. You happen to have control of it, but at that point your life is in danger. When you draw a gun, your life is in danger. Yeah, me too.
Well, I never had a gun, so.
Totally, me too. But it's all because I watch this live crime stuff. Yeah. I don't know how we think about this. Yay! Toilet time. Nice talking to you. I'm done.
Honey, you might take a look at this.
Toilet paper?
No.
What?
Come take a look.
Just tell me.